One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Alabama Athletic Director Bill Battle is my guest today on One Question, sponsored by Turnkey Search. And Bill, I'm really curious to start with some looking back questions at your career, from being the head coach at Tennessee to, of course, building and scaling and selling CLC, to now your time as an athletic director in the SEC back at your alma mater at Alabama here for the last couple of years. And I'm really most interested first to ask about when you started building CLC. Were there a couple of light bulb moments for you on when you knew you had something pretty special on your hands in building that business?
Yes, there were. It's a long story, but I'll try to make it short. When I left Tennessee, I didn't know if I could stay out of coaching because I had a lot of friends and mentors that at some time in their career decided that they were going to try something else and then couldn't stay out and went back as head coaches, went back as assistant coaches or different things. And I thought I would have an opportunity and did have some opportunities to get back in, but I wanted to see how other people live. So I committed to taking a year to try the business world. And I looked around, ended up going to work for my former first Little League football coach in a construction materials company in Selma, Alabama that looked like it had a lot of potential, and it did. I was there for 6 years, and we went from two companies doing $12 million a year to 10 companies doing $60 million a year. So it was a great business educational experience for me. One of the track that led me to licensing, because I'd never heard of licensing before, but Larry Striplin was our CEO, and he was a great salesman, and great salesmen are also vulnerable to being sold. But the reason we ended up with 10 companies, most of them had nothing to do with construction materials, which was interesting, not necessarily good, but interesting, and one of them was a golf putter company. He was a great golfer and had caddied for a guy named Odie Chrisman, who was an old Southern pro, and Odie had started making hickory shafted mallet head putters for himself on the tour. And he got hot on one particular tour, and he got orders for several dozen putters, and he went into the putter business. Well, that one grew, and his son started to run it. Larry bought the company. We brought a guy in who understood licensing and to run this company. And so we were told by the reps that, you couldn't make money in a one-product golf company. You needed to either get in or get out of the golf business. So one day Larry called me. I had moved up to running the window company, which was the largest company in the enterprise, and he called me and said, "I've got a meeting with Jack Nicklaus Group down in Palm Beach. I want you to go with me." So we went down there, and I saw very quickly that Jack Nicklaus's heirs would make money long after he's gone on the Golden Bear and Jack Nicklaus signature logos. And so when we left there, we had the rights to do golf gloves, socks, accessories, and so forth to the golf green grass market, and we had the rights to do Jack Nicklaus eyewear to the ophthalmic market. So the guy that was running this company understood that, and also went out and got the rights to Disney characters for not very much money for a children's line of eyewear, and Chris Everett from IMG for no money up front, but we'll pay you if we sell some eyewear. So the first year we paid Jack $75,000 in royalties, and I thought I got interested in the business. I had my hands full doing what I was doing, but would spend time after work with a guy named Eddie Dobbs who was running this company, and I said, why are we paying Jack Nicklaus $75,000? And he said, look, we don't. People that we sell to don't know us from Adam, and but consumers know Jack Nicklaus and the Golden Bear brand, and the retailers that we're selling to know that brand, and it's well worth what we're paying. Well, 2 years later, Coach Bryant was on our board, and had a conversation with him, and he was talking about changing agents. He was represented by IMG, the best marketing company in the world, sports marketing company, and but they didn't understand, or maybe Coach Bryant was a regional figure at that time. He wasn't to me. But I thought, well, maybe we can do for Coach Bryant what Golden Bear's done for Jack Nicklaus, and pitched him on the idea, and he signed an exclusive agency agreement with us. As we were going, doing Coach Bryant stuff, and in that same year, in the season, if he won 9 games, which was 1981, he would be the all-time winningest coach, passing Amos Alonzo Stagg's record of 315. So he did that year, and the closer it got to the season, the more we went out and got the word out that you couldn't use Coach Bryant's name and likeness without coming through us. And Coach Bryant said, well, I don't want to deal with anybody but you. So I had to screen all the deals. Eddie was out hustling the deals. I had to screen them and take them to Coach Bryant, and we started making him a fair amount of money. And but as the season approached, people started to come in and ask for the rights to use Alabama logos. So one day I went on campus at Alabama, and there was no licensing department. Nobody knew what I was talking about. But I finally ended up in the purchasing office, and an assistant purchasing manager said that they were thinking about starting a licensing program, and I asked, was anybody in the country in the college market doing it? And they said, well, there are a few that are thinking about it. So I went back to our group and said, look, I don't know if we can do this, but whoever can do it, it can be a big deal. So the entrepreneurial spirit in our company was, yeah, let's go for it. So I said, get somebody else to run this window company and let me go do that. So that's how it all started. And we started with Coach Bryant, and then we got Alabama and Ole Miss and 7 of the then 8 ACC schools. There was a fellow on the West Coast who was a bookstore manager at Southern Cal that started about the same way. And he had Southern Cal and a few Pac-12 schools and a few Big Ten schools. So by 1983, 2 years later, I saw that it was a real business. It didn't need to be a part of a construction materials company, and it needed to be in Atlanta. So I bought it out and merged with Steve Crossland, who had a company called ICE, and he had left Southern Cal at that time. And we were partners for 10 years, for 83 through 93. And then we bought him out in 1993 and consolidated everything into Atlanta, where we grew to probably represent about 80 to 85% of the college licensed products market when we sold in 2007.
So I was foolish enough to ask this question and peel back the lid, and I could ask, 100 follow-ups because it's such an interesting story. But would you chalk it up to it's, in that recount that you just gave me, it's the presence of good timing, right, and your expertise, but it's a mallet head putter business that gives you the insight to build CLC. I mean, can we boil it down that simply?
Yeah, that if we hadn't learned about licensing through Golden Bear as a licensee, as a licensor, and Disney as a licensor, that gave us a great education as to what licensors expect and what's good for licensees. And so, yeah, absolutely. And then the timing was such that there wasn't any licensing in the college market. Licensing as an industry was really embryonic in this country or in North America. It was estimated in 1980 the market at retail for logoed products or licensed products, all kinds, from fashion to entertainment to NFL and so forth, was about $10 billion, but it was projected to go to between 50 and 75 billion in the decade of the 1980s. So, and it did. It went to, I think, by 1990, it was the market had gone to about over 60 billion, and the collegiate market we estimated to be about 250 million in 1980, most of which was in college bookstores, and it went to about $2 billion as we estimated it by 1990. So yes, it was. We got in front of the tidal wave, and really helped. The NFL created team sports licensing, in my judgment, and the other leagues kind of copied what they did, and we copied to some extent what they did, although college and professional, what you can do with players is a whole lot different. But we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to have licensing work for the licensees, and we tried to make it as simple as we could. But I didn't know a whole lot about licensing before we started, but I did know how college administrators think, because my dad was a college professor and athletic director and head of the PE department at a small liberal arts college in Birmingham Southern College, and I've spent 16 years in college coaching, and so I thought that I could sell the NFL concept of centralized management. NFL Properties started team sports licensing as Disney started entertainment licensing, and the team sports model of New York managing the then 28 teams, I thought was very efficient. And I thought if somebody that was like Switzerland, you get Alabama and Auburn in the same business is tough, because they're so competitive in everything on the field and everywhere. But we made it make sense in licensing that if we had one, we could sell the other and do a better job. And we were able to convince Alabama and Auburn and South Carolina and Clemson and North Carolina State and Duke and Wake Forest, all in the same state, that this was a good thing that centralized management could impact. I told our people if we could get 50 of the right universities all under one contract, that we could go out to the marketplace. We could attract a lot of companies and a lot of different product categories that had distribution in a lot of different channels, that if the licensees had to go to 50 different universities, deal with 50 different attorneys who would never have the same contract as somebody else, they'd pull out their hair and not do it. So that was kind of the story we told.
Without maybe going to any areas in which you're personally invested, given your business and entrepreneurial veins and success, what great startup new businesses within college athletics today or not are being built that you're impressed by or need to be built?
That's a great question, and I haven't thought much about that. But I was glad that we built what we built when I came to Alabama, and CLC paid us right at $10 million. That really helped our budget a lot. And that was new income for colleges and universities, and we paid our schools over $1 billion during the time that we were there. I think I still believe that there is strength in numbers, and if somebody can come up with an idea that was like ours, that you could convince colleges and universities to all get on the same bandwagon in an effort that you could really build something powerful. I don't know what that is, but it would seem to me that there would be a lot of things that, again, if you could get them all pulling in the same direction in one niche. It might be technology. Technology's moving so fast. It might be in purchasing power. I know we're all trying to buy better, whatever it might be, whether it's transportation, whether it's whatever it might be. But we're all so complicated because we have so many different sponsors and advertisers that there might be conflict. So it's a complex market, but I'm sure there are some niches that nobody's thought about that doesn't interfere with the ones that are going on. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the next business is, but I know that in our department, graphics has become a huge expense because professional leagues can draft, colleges have to recruit, and recruits want to see flash and glitz and glamour, and we change graphics often to keep them up to date with former players that have made All-American or have gone to the NFL or the NBA or whatever it might be. And nutrition is another area that our budget has grown dramatically since I've been here. We try to have strength and conditioning coaches to advise every player in every sport according to their body type and their position, what their strength and conditioning needs are, but hand in hand with that, their nutrition needs. And we have, I think Coach Saban has raised the bar in a lot of different areas and what he has touched while he's been here. And those are two areas that he's done a really good job in. And it has made a difference in performance. So as people succeed, other people copy, and so those areas are growing rather rapidly. Nutrition might be an area that somebody could come in and consolidate. Bookstores, when we were started the licensing business, most all bookstores were run by somebody in the university. The university either owned them or served on the boards, but they were individual fiefdoms. And then the Barnes and Nobles and Follett's came in and consolidated that industry as CLC consolidated the licensing industry. So there may be room down the road for consolidation and nutrition. And maybe even graphics. I don't know about that either. But those are two areas where we're spending a lot of money.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.